Dior Sauvage. I finally got the original. No more clones, just the actual fragrance. Let's put it on. Oh, that's good. Hang on a second. That's not spelt right, is it? Yes, good morning. It is that time of the week again. Fitness fragrance review time. It's looking a little bit dark outside, so fingers crossed the weather is going to stay okay. But what are we looking at today? Well, we're looking at a very popular fragrance. Well, a clone of a very popular fragrance. There are so many. This has got to be the most cloned scent in the world. Of course, we're talking about Dior Sauvage. But today we're not actually using Dior Sauvage. We are using Sauvage. Yes, there are many fragrances called Sauvage on eBay. There are absolutely plenty. My brother has just bought one, an Eau de Parfum 100ml one. He said he paid about £4 for, but I couldn't actually find it because there are just so many out there. But if you haven't seen my fitness fragrance reviews before, essentially we're going to do a morning workout. So we're going to go for a run, walk to the gym, do a gym workout, walk back, all while reviewing this fragrance. We're going to rank it on 5 categories. So price, value for money, versatility, projections, how much I'm noticing it during my run. We'll look at compliment factor, so do I think people will say good comments about it, and also its longevity. Can it stack up against the original Dior Sauvage? So yeah, very interesting. When I first saw this, I saw it, the bottle like that. I thought, that's not like my brother to buy this one. He's not a huge fan of it because it's not his sort of scent DNA. But yeah, of course, then I realised it was a cheap clone. He was just like, it's just so easy to throw into your gym bag. And that is kind of what Dior Sauvage is. If you haven't smelled Dior Sauvage before, there's a little, it's mainly pepper and ambroxan. The ambroxan is super strong in this. It kind of is this fresh, spicy fragrance, a little bit more masculine, very wearable though. You can wear it in many situations, which is why it's so popular. And obviously we'll be scoring it on its versatility today. But yeah, what we'll do, we'll go into a little bit more detail about Dior Sauvage. So I also have a clone of Dior Sauvage. It is the Essenceful 197 Eau de Parfum as well. And the one thing you've got to say with Dior Sauvage is the quality in terms of it. It's not supernatural, but it's so wearable. It is so wearable. It's got this very sporty, young, athletic type vibe about it. And it's made it very easy to clone. Yes, it is quite synthetic. And I think that does make it easier for these cheaper brands to really replicate that smell. And this one, if I'm just going to do a sort of initial impressions, give it a quick spray here. You instantly pick up that kind of, it's maybe not quite as spicy, but you get that very clean feeling about it. There must be a bit of musk or something in this one as well, just to line it up. But of course, lavender is super prominent in the original Sauvage as well. So yeah, really looking forward to reviewing this one today. I won't bore you with the note breakdown because I'm sure by now you know exactly what this one smells like. So what we're going to do, we're going to head out for a run. We're going to do the first 2 categories, so price, value for money, and also its versatility. Let's put a bit more on. Sorry, Jack, I know it's not really mine. See you out there. Well, as it is Bank Holiday Monday today, it's certainly a lot quieter around. It's really quiet. And just as I say that, a car comes around the corner. But anyway, it is quiet. It's price value for money then for Sauvage Eau de Parfum. So my brother said he paid for this about £4. He said it was at £3.99. But looking on eBay and just looking on the price you would have just seen, I kind of find the general price is around £7 to £15. There is a lot of variation, and there just seems to be so many of these called Sauvage. Now I'm assuming they're all going to pretty much smell the same here, and pretty much smell like the original. So do I think, just based on the one I'm smelling here, this is good value for money? Well, in terms of it being a clone and being similar, 100%. When I first actually smelt this, obviously I saw the bottle, but I did think, oh, my brother's got Sauvage on, and that's, I know he didn't have it. And then obviously I saw this bottle on the stairs, and I thought, wow, yeah, that definitely smells exactly like it, and obviously the bottle backs that up. So it's a huge tick in terms of, replicating the smell of the original. I'd probably say it is 95% as good, if not 100%. I'm really nitpicking here, but I think up close, it doesn't maybe have that same spice about it. It's a little bit more clean, I would say. Where I'd say this one is certainly marked down compared to the original is on its performance. And obviously the other clone I showed you earlier, the Essenceful 197, that one is really strong. It lasts a long time. It certainly gets me through my workout. And if I'm being honest with you, this morning, I'm only about 5-10 minutes in. Can I smell it at all? No, I can't. I have to go you know, right up to my arm to kind of even get a whiff of it. And that's again when you notice that it's not quite the same as the original. It doesn't have quite that pepperiness, which I think is really nice, which gives it a bit of a sparkle. So it's not so good on that front. But overall, you know, when you're paying this sort of price for any fragrance, when you're paying £10-15 for something that's clearly a mass pleasing scent, clearly very, very popular, I don't think you can really complain. I think this one though, if you like the original, if you've had the original, I don't think this one can replace it. I think it can only support it and help pad up, top up through the day, and just have it as a dumb reach, throw in your gym bag, your work bag, more along those lines, rather than going, do you know what, I don't need the original anymore, because I think this one does lack just that little bit more performance than anything else, which lets it down just from my initial impression so far. So I'm going to give value for money. I don't want to be too critical because it is super cheap. 8.5 out of 10. I think that's a fair score. It's so cheap, obviously, based on that. Even at £10, I'd happily get this. I wouldn't feel ripped off at all. Okay, so moving on to versatility for Sauvage. How much can you dress this one up, dress this one down? Different ages, different occasions, different seasons, all those things. Well, I think we just got to go straight into it. This is super versatile. Anything that's replicating the smell of Dior Sauvage is going to be great for versatility, because I think that is the big selling point of Sauvage. You can dress that one up, you know, suit and tie. That peppery spice in it is really nice. There's a bit of patchouli in it, a bit of vetiver. But on the flip side, the ambroxan gives it that little bit more of a clean, fresh shower gel vibe, which, you know, you can wear more casually, meeting up with friends, or just at home coming out the shower. I would say with this one as a clone, because it's not so prominent on the spice and it's not as strong a fragrance in general, this is better in those more dumb reach situations, you know, more when you're just coming out the gym or going to the gym, and on a really hot day where you maybe don't want that extra peppery spice. I think this one will do better than the original Sauvage. That being said, suit and tie occasion or jogging to where you might be getting a bit hot and sweaty, this one isn't going to last particularly long enough for you to notice it. And I do think because it doesn't have as much spice, it's not so good in those dress up situations. But again, does that mean you can't wear it in those situations? No. Because this one is so cheap, can you overspray it? Yes. And I think it'll work fine. It's never going to be strong enough where it's going to be too cloying, and that's absolutely great. But again, I go back to what I said earlier. I think this one's better to support the original and just throw in your bag, throw in your car, and it will do absolutely, you know, do wonders. It's exactly that. It's a compliment to the original for me. And for that reason, I've got to say it's so good. Versatility is what Dior Sauvage is all about. A little bit like Terre d'Hermès for me, on a slightly sort of more grown-up scale, I'd say. Again, I don't think older gentlemen particularly like Dior Sauvage in the same way, because maybe they didn't grow up with it. But it's fine. It does the job. It does exactly what it says on the tin, and that's why it's so popular. So my own personal bias here, can't mark it down too much on versatility, and for that reason, I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10 here. I just think it's that little bit of extra pepper that it could have done. Just even again, maybe slightly more performance, and I would have given it a 10 for this round. But yeah, Sauvage is doing very well. So run done. It is now time to spray my room to test for projection. So if you haven't seen this before, essentially I'm going to spray my room 10 times with this fragrance. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And essentially I just want to see how much this fragrance fills up the room. And also in the meantime, I just need to spray my arms 3 times on each side. This is the test for longevity later on. So essentially it'll be about 12:15 by the time I leave the gym. I'll do a workout, I'll have a shower, won't reapply in that time. And yeah, we'll just see how much we still notice the fragrance. But what I'm going to do essentially is come up in 10 minutes time, see if I can still smell the fragrance. So again, if a family member or a colleague, if you're in an office, if they came in, would they notice you're wearing Sauvage? I keep calling it Dior Sauvage, but it's not Dior. It is just Sauvage, of course. But we're going to head downstairs, have a drink, and we'll talk about how much I actually noticed this fragrance during my run. I better put it back now before my brother gets back. But yeah, I've done all the applications I need to. Oh, green tea, lovely. So how much did I notice Sauvage during my workout? What was the projection like during my run? Not good. Not good at all. I did not notice it once. Now, I mentioned obviously during the time, I think this fragrance was slightly different in the sense it's not quite as spicy, and it's a bit more clean, a bit more fresh. But I'm starting to change my mind on that. What I think it actually is that this fragrance is, I'm going to give you a bit of an analogy essentially. Say you were running a bath at home, You drop the original Dior Sauvage in the bath, you're like, oh no, I don't want to lose that fragrance. I'm going to go get a jug and scoop it up. It almost feels like there's so much water that's just, essentially softened the fragrance. But I think it's taken that peppery edge away, because the actual scent is almost identical. It's pretty much identical. I can't really detect any difference. I just think it's where it's so watered down, it's maybe taken a bit of edge off that spice, rather than it being any differences in terms of the notes. And yeah, it's just unfortunately that's what they do with a lot of these cheap fragrances. They are tend to be very watered down, or they tend to be very harsh synthetic notes. I'm not really getting that harshness. I'm getting more of something that's almost acts more like an eau de cologne, certainly not an eau de parfum from my experience here. So yeah, it's a little bit underwhelming. Not expecting this to fill a room, but let's hope it proves me wrong. I really hope it does do a little bit better when we do the room spray test. So up we go. This is very exciting. It's not really, is it, to you? But let's see what it smells like. I'm hoping we will get some performance, because I have to say, at the moment, our dining room absolutely stinks. We had some roses that we bought for my nan's passing, her 6-year anniversary since she passed away, and yeah, they've had to be thrown. It smells boggy. My room thankfully doesn't. But can I smell the fragrance? Oh, yes. And it is a bit of that peppery spice that I said wasn't particularly in it, but it's very faint. You're talking 10%, but it's one of them where I think if someone catches it, they go, oh, I did smell something then. And almost because it's not so aggressive and in your face, they might go, someone's got something on. I can't really tell where it's coming from. They might want to delve into it a bit further. So, look, do I think it's going to last any longer than half an hour? Probably not. Maybe if you've been sitting in a room, maybe it might go half an hour to an hour. But this is not a strong fragrance at all. It is very watered down. Didn't notice it at all on my run. We'll go 3 out of 10. I've had worse. I've had better. I think if you overspray this, it will give you a bit more punch. But even then, I think after a couple of hours at the tops, unless someone's sitting right next to you, I don't think they'll be noticing it very, very much. So, yeah, a little bit underwhelming on that. But again, what do you expect? This isn't Dior Sauvage. This is Sauvage. And there's many clones out there, and this is one of the cheapest. So, can't really complain too much about that. Anyway, what we're going to do, we're going to talk about compliment factor next. We'll head to the gym, and yeah, I'll speak about it during my walk. Time to move on to compliment factor for Sauvage. Do I think Sauvage is a compliment getting scent? Well, I said earlier on, versatility is obviously the most important thing with, the success of Dior Sauvage, but ultimately it's not really. And the same with any phrase. The biggest thing, the biggest indicator of success is mass appeal and obviously compliment factor, because ultimately you want to make a fragrance which most people like. And as someone who's obviously bought a lot of fragrances, I've had some that I've not liked originally, and then people have given me good compliments on it, and my whole opinion's changed, and that affects your buying. And if you're someone who's getting into fragrances, you want to know the scent that most people say good things about, because you want to be that person that just smells great. It's like haircuts or nice clothing. Everyone almost copies each other because they know that's what tends to get the best attention. And it's just the same with Dior Sauvage here. Now, has it been overdone? Yes, in my opinion now, because obviously you've got all these clones like Sauvage, the Essence Vault clones. There's just so many out there of this. It has been a bit overplayed, and it does lose its uniqueness. I always think when you go to London, I see a load of squirrels here. I walk through a park in a minute, and there's millions of squirrels in there. But some people who are living in different countries, tourists, don't see them, so they want to feed them and do all these other things. Whereas, your general English person, British person is probably sick of the sight of them. It's just that thing, and it's lost that uniqueness. So sometimes I think if you want those real wow compliments, you're probably not going to get it with something like Sauvage. And again, I have to talk about the performance here. Yes, you can wear it in many situations. Obviously, got good versatility, so a bigger sample pool size to get compliments. But it is very weak, and it's not unique enough maybe for someone who's maybe a little bit less confident to say you smell nice, to go out their way and go, that smells really different. It's a scent that most people recognise, probably the most recognisable scent out there. And I just don't think this one itself, just with that weak performance on top of it, is going to get the most compliments. But it is a compliment getting scent. It's not divisive. I wouldn't worry about offending anyone with this one. I'd happily wear it in most situations. And compared to some of the other ones I wear to the gym, this feels quite safe today. So I'm going to give compliment factor, with all those things considered, 7 out of 10. Now, of course, if we do get any at the gym today, which I don't think we will, just because it's not very strong, and of course, as I said, it's not very unique, and loads of people at the gym smell like Dior Sauvage, but if we do, we'll bump it up to a 10. Right, I've just left the gym and wow, it is incredibly quiet here. Look, there's no cars in the car park basically. And normally, I think because the gym shuts at 12, they're trialling different hours on Bank Holiday Monday today, 6 till 6. But I don't think anyone else has got the memo, which is good for me. It means I can talk without people thinking, what on earth is he on about? But let's test for longevity then. So it's been, what, 3 hours? I think it's about 10 past 12 now. So smell marks and see if we can get any of Sauvage still after I've had my shower. Do you know what? It is still there. It's probably in that sort of 20 to 30% as strong as it was when I applied it range. Now it's not probably going to last much more than a few more hours. But to be fair, you know, I've done a walk to the gym, I've done my workout, and I've had a shower, and it survived. It wasn't a really hot shower. I think if it was a really hot shower, they seem to be really cold running at the moment. I don't know if it would have survived, but it is still there. And I think this is one where it does do better on your skin than clothing, and that's normally not the case. I tend to find clothing obviously helps the staying power phrases because it, you know, it kind of locks into the fibres of the clothing. But no, on this occasion, it's definitely doing better on skin, and it's a lot more peppery. It smells a lot more like Sauvage on my skin actually than it did on the clothing. And yeah, look, I think probably I've been a little bit critical of it today. Almost because there's so many clones of this out there, it's almost like the clones are competing against the clones as well. If this was the only clone of Dior Sauvage out there, I think I'd go, wow, this is very good. And for the price, it is very good. But it just kind of goes into that bundle of they're all the same. Even when you've got other clones called Sauvage as well, you know, replicating the smell of Dior Sauvage, it really does feel like it's sort of lost in the pack. I just think it needed to have something else, probably slightly better performance more than anything, just to maybe take it to that next level. But I can't fault in terms of it how similar it does in terms of its smell. And that if you're paying 10, 11 pound, whatever it is, for 100ml for something that's going to last 3 or 4 hours, I think that's absolutely fine in terms of longevity. And again, I think it's much more a supplement to the original. If you've got the original, spray that on in the morning, spray this one on at lunch, Sauvage, to top up through the day, and that should get you through the day. So I'm going to give it a high score hit for longevity based on all those things, and also because I think I've been a bit critical. We'll go 8.5. Again, it isn't strong. It, as I said earlier on, it definitely does feel watered down, but again, for that price, I don't know, I want to try and keep them around separate. I think that's more than enough for me. It's certainly got me through my workout, and that's, yeah, I think that's pretty impressive. So when we head back, we'll count up all the scores, and yeah, I'll give my overall thoughts. We are back, and another workout is done. The sun's coming out now. I can get on with the rest of the day, but it is nearly 2 o'clock. It's 1:47. I've done 42,928 steps, all while wearing today Sauvage for Men. Yes, the Dior Sauvage clone. So what was the total score for this clone fragrance based on the 5 rounds that we did? It's done all right. Actually, it's done a lot better than I thought it was because I didn't think I'd give some very good scores, but it's got 36.5 out of 50. Now, I'm going to say this is really down to you, this fragrance, in terms of whether I'd recommend or whether I wouldn't. If you're someone who loves Dior Sauvage, I would still go for it. I really would still just get the original because I think that one is strongest, a better performer. And look, if you really like that scent, go and get the best thing out there. And it's still the best thing out there. Look, I've tried the clones. There's some very good ones out there, but I still think the original is still the most well-rounded. If you're someone though who just wants that scent DNA, throw it in your bag, or you've got the original, you just want a bit of a top up, you don't want to carry that expensive scent around with you, something like this is absolutely perfect. All I would say is there are many out there. As I touched upon earlier, there's plenty of clones of Dior Sauvage, and I think there's some that are a little bit stronger than this one. All I'd say, this is Sauvage by name, but not Savage by nature. It kind of feels a little bit forgettable. It's certainly not as strong as the Essence 4197, which I showed you there. So I'd rather get this one. But I do quite like the fact they've kind of replicated the bottle as well as much as anything else as well. But yeah, it's for me, would I get this one? Only as a top-up spray. Again, I think this is brilliant just coming out the gym, you know, something like this just to put on where you're not really going anywhere. I've just come straight home. But if I'm going on to do other things or I want to make a bit more of a statement, I just don't think this one's going to do it. It's not going to replace the original, but if you just want the pure scent of it, not worried about the performance, then yeah, this is great. All the clones, to be fair, the ones I've tried, really replicate that smell well. I find it's more the boozy sort of scent that those cheap clones really struggle to replicate. But yeah, other than that, very good. But yeah, it's all down to personal preference. For me, if you're a big fan of the original though, please just stick with that one because I think it's definitely worth that extra investment compared to this. But yeah, it's dirt cheap this, isn't it? You can't really go wrong. 100ml for £10. I'll spray a little bit more. I'm even going to use more of my rubbers one. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this one today. Got a few more that actually he's bought as well. So when he's at work tomorrow, I'll take a few more as well. And yeah, might be a little bit of a competition in one of the fitness trade reviews. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy that one. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.